I'm 76 years old, and I ruined my life at 63. Not in one loud, dramatic moment, not with a suitcase by the door or a screaming match in the kitchen. I ruined it quietly, slowly, with something I told myself I deserved. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. At my age, sympathy doesn't fix anything. I'm telling you because there isn't much time left for me, and maybe there's still time for you. I was married for 41 years when it happened. My wife, Mira, and I had built a life the old-fashioned way. One salary for a long time, 2 children, a small house that we slowly expanded. Nothing glamorous, but solid. By the time I turned 60, we were different people. Not enemies, just worn. Conversations became practical. Did you pay the bill? Did the plumber come? When is the doctor's appointment? We slept on the same bed, but not always at the same time. I watched television late. She read in the other room. It didn't feel tragic. It felt normal. I told myself this is what long marriages become. At 62, I started consulting part-time after retirement. It felt good to be needed again, to dress properly, to hear someone say, "We couldn't have done this without you." That's where I met her. She was 49, recently divorced, smart, attentive. She laughed at my stories, asked questions about my experience. No one had asked me about my experience in years. It didn't begin as an affair. It began as coffee, then longer lunches, then messages at night about work that slowly stopped being about work. I told myself it was harmless. At 63, you start to feel invisible. Your children are busy. Your wife is tired. The world is moving on without you. When someone looks at you like you still matter, it's intoxicating. I didn't plan to betray my wife. I would have said I loved her, and in a way, I did. But I also loved how I felt around this other woman. Younger, interesting, alive. The first time we crossed the line, I remember thinking, this is just something small for me. Just something that's mine. That's how selfishness sounds in your own head. It doesn't shout, it whispers. I didn't leave my wife. I didn't want to lose my house, my routine, my family image. I simply added another life beside the one I already had. And that's how the damage began. I missed small things first. A doctor's appointment I said I'd attend. A dinner with our daughter because I had work. I kept my phone face down. Mira noticed. Of course she did. She didn't accuse me immediately. She asked simple questions. Why are you smiling at your phone? Who are you texting this late? I would sigh. Act irritated. Turn it back on her. You become a different man when you're hiding something. You become sharp, defensive, cold. The affair lasted 2 years. 2 years of splitting myself in half. 2 years of lies that felt manageable at the time. I convinced myself I was keeping everyone happy. My wife still had her husband. My children still had their father. And I had excitement. What I didn't see was what I was eroding. Mira stopped asking questions eventually. That should have scared me. Instead, I felt relieved. Silence can feel like peace when you don't want to be confronted. Then she got sick. It wasn't dramatic at first. Fatigue, some weight loss. We thought it was age. By the time we went for proper tests, the word cancer was already in the room. Stage 3. I remember sitting in that hospital corridor, the smell of antiseptic in the air, and thinking, I will end this other relationship now. I'll fix this. I'll be the husband I'm supposed to be. I called the other woman that evening, told her it was over. She cried. I felt guilty. but I also felt clear. For the next year, I was by my wife's side. Chemotherapy, hospital visits, sleepless nights. I held her hand, cooked her meals, washed her hair when she was too weak to stand. And do you know what hurt the most? She was kind to me. She never once said, "Where were you before this?" But sometimes, late at night, when she thought I was asleep, I saw her looking at me. Not with anger, with distance, as if she knew. She died at 67. The house was so quiet after the funeral. The bed felt enormous. I kept reaching to her side without thinking. That's when the weight came down. The affair was over. The woman had moved on. My children were polite but distant. They had sensed something during those years, even if they didn't know details. And I was alone, completely alone. I had traded pieces of my marriage for moments of validation. I had risked a 40-year partnership for something that lasted 24 months. And when it mattered most, when she was fighting for her life, I realized how fragile everything had been. An affair after 60 doesn't just risk your marriage, it risks your legacy. At 30, you think there's time to rebuild. That's when the weight came down. The affair was over. The woman had moved on. My children were polite but distant. They had sensed something during those years, even if they didn't know details. And I was alone, completely alone. I had traded pieces of my marriage for moments of validation. I had risked a 40-year partnership for something that lasted 24 months. And when it mattered most, when she was fighting for her life, I realized how fragile everything had been. An affair after 60 doesn't just risk your marriage, it risks your legacy. At 30, you think there's time to rebuild. At 40, you think you can recover from mistakes. At 63, you don't realize you are standing near the end of the road. There isn't time to repair what you break. I can't go back and give Mira those 2 years of full presence. I can't erase the messages, the lies, the nights I chose someone else's laughter over her quiet company. People think affairs are about sex. They're not. They're about ego, about wanting to feel alive again. But I learned something too late. Being needed by a stranger is nothing compared to being trusted by someone who has shared your entire life. Now I sit in this house, 76 years old, with photo albums and silence. Sometimes I talk to her picture. I tell her I'm sorry. I don't know if she knew everything. Maybe she did. Maybe she carried that knowledge quietly to protect what little time we had left. That possibility hurts more than if she had screamed at me. If you're over 60 and feeling invisible, I understand. If you're tired of routine, of being taken for granted, I understand that too. But before you step outside your marriage for a little spark, ask yourself something simple. If this ends tomorrow, if illness walks in, or death, will you be proud of how you spent these last years together? I thought I had more time. I didn't. If this story means something to you, you don't have to comment. Just think about it. Think about the person who has been beside you all these years. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm just asking you not to learn this lesson the way I did. I'm 76 now. My hands shake a little when I hold my tea. My children visit on holidays. They are kind, but there is space between us. At night, the house settles and creaks. I listen. There is no second chance coming. There's just memory. And memory can be a very heavy thing to sleep beside.